So I'm really interested in this chapter. Chapter 6, nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. One of the first lessons in the yogi science of breath is to learn how to breathe through the nostrils and to overcome the common practice of mouth breathing. The breathing mechanism of man is so constructed that he may breathe either through the mouth or nasal tubes, but it is a matter of vital importance to him which method he follows, as one brings health and strength and the other disease and weakness. It should not be necessary to state to the student that the proper method of breathing is to take the breath through the nostrils, but alas, the ignorance among civilized people regarding this simple matter is astounding. We find people in all walks of life habitually breathing through their mouths and allowing their children to follow their horrible and disgusting examples. Yogi Ramacharaka is going in. Many of the diseases to which civilized man is subject are undoubtedly caused by their common habit of mouth breathing. Children permitted to breathe in this way grow up with impaired vitality and weakened constitutions, and in manhood and womanhood break down and become chronic invalids. The mother of the savage race does better, being evidently guided by her intuition. She seems to instinctively recognize that the nostrils are the proper channel for the conveyance of air to the lungs, and she trains her infant to close its little lips and breathe through the nose. She tips its head forward when it is asleep, which attitude closes the lips and makes nostril breathing imperative. If our civilized mother were to adopt the same plan, it would work a great deal for the race. Many contagious diseases are contracted by the disgusting habit of mouth breathing. Oh, I didn't know that. And many cases of cold and catarrhal affections are also attributable to the same cause. Many persons who, for the sake of appearance, keep their mouths closed during the day, persist in mouth breathing at night and often contract disease in this way. Carefully conducted scientific experiments have shown that soldiers and sailors who sleep with their mouths open are much more liable to contract contagious diseases than those who breathe properly through the nostrils. An instance is related in which smallpox became epidemic on a man of war in foreign parts, and every death which resulted was that of some sailor or marine who was a mouth breather. Not a single nostril breather succumbed. The organs of respiration have their only protective apparatus. Filter, or dust catchers in the nostrils. When the breath is taken in through the mouth, there is nothing from mouth to lungs to strain the air or to catch the dust and other foreign matter in the air. From mouth to lungs, the dirt or impure substance has a clear track, and the entire respiratory system is unprotected. And moreover, such incorrect breathing emits cold air to the organs, thereby injuring them. Inflammation of the respiratory organs often results from the inhalation of cold air through the mouth. The man who breathes through the mouth at night always awakens with a parched feeling in the mouth and a dryness of the throat. He is violating one of nature's laws and is sowing the seeds of disease. I have been reading this book and mouth breathing to take in more air to keep a steady flow of conversation, but I'm going to be a lot more mindful of breathing in through my nose when I need to inhale some breath just to talk to you guys. One more. Remember that the mouth affords no protection to the respiratory organs, and cold air, dust, and impurities and germs readily enter that door. On the other hand, the nostrils and nasal passages show evidence of the careful design of nature in this respect. The nostrils are two narrow, tortuous channels containing numerous bristly hairs which serve the purpose of a filter or sieve to strain the air of its impurities, etc., which are expelled when the breath is exhaled. Not only do the nostrils serve this important purpose, but they also perform an important function in warming the air inhaled. The long, narrow, winding nostrils are filled with warm mucous membranes, which, coming in contact with the inhaled air, warms it so that it can do no damage to the delicate organs of the throat or the lungs. No animal except man sleeps with the mouth open or breathes through the mouth. Tell that to my puppy who definitely snores. No animal except man sleeps with the mouth open to breathe through the mouth, and in fact, it is believed that it is only civilized man who so perverts nature's functions, as the savage and barbarian races almost invariably breathe correctly. It is probable that this unnatural habit among civilized men has been acquired through unnatural methods of living, enervating luxuries and excessive warmth. The refining, filtered, and straining apparatus of the nostrils renders the air fit to reach the delicate organs of the throat and lungs, and the air is not fit to so reach these organs until it has passed through nature's refining process. The impurities which are stopped and retained by the sieves and mucous membranes of the nostrils are thrown out again by the expelled breath in exhalation, and in case they have accumulated too rapidly or have managed to escape through the sieves and have penetrated forbidden regions. Nature protects us by producing a sneeze which violently ejects the intruder. Fun fact, a sneeze leaves your face at 300 miles per hour. The air, why do I know that? The air, when it enters the lungs, is as different from the outside air as is distilled water different from the from the water of the cistern. The intricate purifying organization of the nostrils, arresting and holding the impure particles in the air, is as important as is the action of a mouth in stopping cherry stones and fish bones and preventing them from being carried to the stomach. Man should no more breathe through his mouth than he would attempt to take food through his nose. Another feature of mouth breathing is that the nasal passages, being thus comparatively unused, consequently fail to keep themselves clean and clear, and become clogged up and unclean, and are apt to contract local diseases, abandoned roads that soon become filled with weeds and rubbish. Unused nostrils become filled with impurities and foul matter. One who habitually breathes through the nostrils is not likely to be troubled with clogged or stuffy nostrils, but for the benefit of those who have more or less addicted to the unnatural mouth breathing and who wish to acquire the natural and rational methods, it may perhaps be well to add a few more words regarding the way to keep the nostrils clean and free from impurities. A favorite Oriental method is to stuff a little water up the nostril, allow it to run down the passage into the throat. From thence, it may be ejected through the mouth. Some Hindi yogis immerse the face in a bowl of water, and by a sort of suction draw in quite a quantity of water, but this latter method requires considerable practice. And first mentioned method is equally efficacious and much more easily performed. Another good plan is to open the window and breathe freely, closing one nostril with the finger or thumb, sniffing up the air through the open nostril, then repeating the process on the other nostril. Repeating several times, changing nostrils. This method will usually clear the nostrils of obstructions. Now, the reason I demonstrated that is not just like to have some engagement with you guys, but that is, I think, in Kemetic yoga, we call it oscillating nostril breathing. It's where you literally take in breath through one nostril and you breathe out. And you do the same thing on the other side. So all of that air, oxygen, or prana that you would be usually getting through mouth breathing, which like we just read is unhealthy, or through both nostrils at one time, you really get a super oxygenated dose through each nostril, and it can really wake up your nose. It's a lot harder. I shouldn't say it's a lot harder to do, but when you do it for a while, you start to experience breathing differently. In case the trouble is caused by catarrh, catarrh, catarrh. In case the trouble is caused by catarrh, it is well to apply a little Vaseline or camphor ice or similar preparations, or sniff up a little witch hazel extract once in a while, and you will notice a marked improvement. A little care and attention will result in the nostrils becoming clean and remaining so. We have given considerable space to the subject of nostril breathing, not only because of its great importance in its reference to health, but because nostril breathing is a prerequisite to the practice of the breathing exercises to be given later in this book, and because nostril breathing is one of the basic principles underlying the yogi science of breath. We urge upon the student the necessity of acquiring this method of breathing if he has not, and caution him against dismissing this phase of this subject as unimportant. That's it for chapter 3. We just read chapter 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 4 was the esoteric theory of breathing, which had to do with understanding breathing is not just about oxygen and filling your lungs with air. It's also about breathing in the prana energy that's everywhere in the air and healing up your nervous system. Chapter 5 was the nervous system and explained how it worked. I'm not gonna lie, that was very arduous to read through, but it did give me a better understanding of how your cerebellum, your cerebrum, and your medulla oblongata are all connected, and how they have this spinal shaft and spinal marrow that goes down your back, and these little spindles called ganglia that hang off of it, and those emit signals, firing signals from your brain to the rest of your organs. We also talked about the solar plexus, which I know the solar plexus as, oh, actually I will show this to you guys. I think, please ignore my nail. I've been doing housework since I moved back to Georgia, but that's the root chakra. So that will be the sacral chakra, I think, and that's the solar plexus. I could be getting that backwards, but one of those are the, let me pull this back so it's a bit more in focus. There we go. So one of those are the solar plexus chakra, which if I'm not mistaken, that's your emotional center. And that often shows up yellow when you look at the colors of energy in your body. But your emotional center is like another brain. And a lot of times what we do is we're told, hold in your stomach, right? It's to tighten up, have a flat stomach. But when you are constantly tightening up that stomach, you're probably not breathing properly. But also you are restricting your emotional center. And through meditation and yoga and all sorts of practices, you know, eventually they do talk about detaching from your emotions, but not in a callous way. It's more understanding and being a witness to your emotions versus being caught up in them. So your solar plexus is extremely important, and that is something literally I'm working through right now. It's something that was brought up on my yoga mat this morning. And then chapter 6, of course, as we just read, was, I don't want to steer you guys wrong, so you can read it later. Nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. So I'd encourage you at home to try nostril breathing, especially if you are a mouth breather or if you have troubles with sinuses and things like that. It may be a little painful, especially for those of you who do have sinuses. If you're here in Georgia, it's springtime, everything's in bloom. Pollen count is crazy, but oscillating nostril breathing, one finger over your nostril, breathe in, breathe out. Still use the yogi breathing, which we really haven't learned yet. We haven't talked about that, but breathe, expand your stomach, your diaphragm, then the middle of your chest, then your upper. And do the same thing on the other side. And that is the oscillating nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. And as we just read, when you breathe through your nose, it's literally a filtration system. Like you wouldn't drink sewer water, right? Or like you wouldn't drink tap water. At least I hope you're not, unless your filtration system is great. It has chlorine and fluoride and all kinds of crap in it. But then the mouth breathing is the process of taking air into your lungs without filtering it. So if there's people coughing around you and stuff like that, especially if you're on a bus or train, don't breathe through your mouth, breathe through your nose, because your nose has a natural filtration system, as we just read in Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka. So all three of these chapters that we just read will be up on my Instagram Live, my IGTV, we're on Instagram Live, will be on my IGTV videos, but then also I'm going to upload them to YouTube, because each chapter is only like 3 or 4 pages, but sometimes that takes more than 10 minutes, which IGTV only allows. So love and light to you guys. I hope you learned a little bit from Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka. You can find this book online, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not this specific copy. I went online and I saw some of these throughout the ages, different covers and things like that. Arduous read, but it's great. So on my IGTV videos and my YouTube, we'll have Science of Breath, chapters 4, 5, and 6. Love and light.